The lost World War II boot hack that saved soldiers from frostbite overnight. Frostbite didn't just injure soldiers in World War II, it erased them from the fight without firing a single bullet. Fingers blackened, toes gone, entire units weakened by cold alone. But buried in the chaos of frozen battlefields was a simple, almost forgotten trick. A boot hack so effective it could stop frostbite before it even had a chance to bite. And the wild part? It wasn't high-tech. It wasn't rare. It was brutally simple. And it worked. Let's break it down. The cold enemy no one could shoot. Winter in World War II was not just uncomfortable. It was lethal. Temperatures on the Eastern Front dropped below -30 degrees Celsius. In the Ardennes, during the Battle of the Bulge, American soldiers faced similar freezing conditions with limited winter gear. Frostbite became a silent killer. In some units, thousands of cases were reported in a single campaign. Not because soldiers were weak, but because their gear, especially their boots, failed them. Leather froze, moisture built up, blood flow slowed. Once your feet got wet and cold, it was only a matter of time. That's where this hack comes in. The moisture problem that destroyed feet. Here's the truth most people miss. Cold alone doesn't cause frostbite quickly. Moisture does. Your feet sweat, even in freezing temperatures. That sweat soaks into socks. Socks soak into boots. And once moisture is trapped, it pulls heat away from your skin fast, faster than dry cold ever could. Wet feet in freezing conditions? That's a countdown. World War II soldiers learned this the hard way. Early on, many kept wearing the same socks for days. Boots stayed damp. Circulation dropped. Frostbite followed. So they adapted. The boot hack that changed everything. The solution was almost laughably simple. Layer your feet, trap heat, block moisture. Soldiers began using a system that involved a vapor barrier layer inside their boots. Sometimes it was wax paper, sometimes a rubber layer. In many cases, just a simple plastic-like lining. Even improvised materials worked. Here's how it worked. First, a dry inner sock went directly on the foot. This kept the skin protected. Then came the barrier layer, something that stopped sweat from reaching the outer layers. On top of that, a thicker insulating sock. The result? Your sweat stayed close to your foot, but your insulation stayed dry. That one shift changed everything. Why this worked so well? It sounds counterintuitive. Keeping moisture near your skin should make things worse, right? Wrong. The key is temperature control. When sweat is trapped close to the body, it warms up instead of freezing deeper in the boot. Meanwhile, the outer insulating layers stay completely dry. Dry insulation holds heat far better than wet material. This meant soldiers could keep their feet warmer for longer periods, even in brutal cold. And more importantly, it drastically reduced frostbite cases. Field improvisation at its finest. This wasn't always issued equipment, you know. A lot of this came from soldiers adapting on the ground. Some used bread bags, while others used pieces of waterproof cloth. There are even accounts of soldiers wrapping their feet in whatever they could find, just to create that barrier. It wasn't pretty, and it sure wasn't comfortable either. But, well, it worked. Veteran reports later confirmed that units using vapor barrier methods saw fewer cold injuries compared to those who didn't. That's not just theory, that's battlefield proof. The discipline that made it effective. Here's the part most people skip, and it really matters. The hack only worked if soldiers stayed disciplined. Socks had to be changed regularly. Feet needed to be checked daily. Boots had to be aired out whenever possible. Armies even enforced foot inspections, where soldiers had to remove boots and show their feet to prevent early signs of frostbite. Because once frostbite sets in, there's no quick fix. This hack wasn't magic. It was part of a system, a routine, a survival mindset. Modern survival still uses this trick. Fast forward to today, and this lost World War II method isn't actually lost. It's just not talked about enough. Modern cold weather survival experts still use vapor barrier systems. Arctic explorers rely on them. Military units in extreme climates still apply the same principle. Even high-end cold weather gear sometimes builds this concept directly into boot design. But here's the thing. You don't need advanced gear to use it. The same principle works with basic materials. A plastic layer, dry socks, proper layering. That's it. Simple, effective, proven. The real lesson behind the hack. This isn't just about boots. It's about understanding your environment. World War II soldiers didn't survive because they had perfect equipment. They survived because they adapted fast. They paid attention. They learned from mistakes and fixed them in real time. This boot hack is a perfect example of that mindset. It shows how small adjustments can mean the difference between staying in the fight or being taken out by something as invisible as cold. Why this still matters today? You might not be marching through a frozen battlefield, but cold conditions still catch people off guard. Hikers, campers, outdoor workers, even people caught in unexpected weather. Frostbite doesn't care who you are, and most people still make the same mistake those early World War II soldiers made. They focus on thicker boots instead of drier systems. But warmth isn't just about insulation. It's about moisture control. Get that wrong, and no amount of gear will save you. Final thoughts. A piece of wax paper, a plastic layer, a simple shift in thinking. That's all it took to turn the tide against one of the most dangerous enemies of World War II. No noise, no glory, just results. And sometimes those are the tactics that matter most. If you found this useful, make sure you subscribe to Ancient Tactics for more forgotten survival secrets that actually work. Share this with someone who thinks thick socks are enough. You might just save them from learning the hard way.